The Dunwich Building. Ronald Laren from Girdershade has one warning for anyone heading south. Stay far away from the Dunwich Building because it's bad mojo. And he isn't wrong. Before the war, this office tower belonged to Dunwich Borers LLC, a company that made industrial rock drills. But when the bombs fell, radiation and fire swept through the place and trapped the workers inside. A terminal record actually still holds their frantic last words, as many of them were twisted into feral ghouls. 200 years later, and the building was feared and shunned. Even the most hardcore raiders and scavengers avoided it, and the few who returned from venturing inside came back a shell of the person they used to be. The deeper you go, the darker and stranger the place becomes until you reach the underchambers. There, an unnatural obelisk rises out of the stone, vines curling around it, skulls carved up its length, and the faint outline of a woman's figure half emerging from the surface. It also radiates up to 20 rads per second, while feral ghouls linger around it like worshippers. Scattered among the ruins are 9 audio logs from Jamie, an unfortunate wanderer whose recordings capture his steady descent into madness until he ultimately becomes a feral himself. And then there are the hauntings. You could hear doors groaning when they open even though no one is near, and footsteps trail behind you in empty corridors. But at the base of the obelisk, you'll hear a whisper in the darkness, repeating a single name, Al-Hazared. This place is tied to the Point Lookout DLC and the CREEPIEST, a powerful book used for dark magic rituals. If the lone wanderer finds this book and decides to destroy it, they can do so by reaching the deepest chambers of the Dunwich Building and pressing it against the obelisk's altar. This will purify the building once and for all, ending its curse. Andale. If you stumble across Andale in the southern capital wasteland, it might look like a miracle. Residents dressed in pre-war clothes stroll the streets, greet visitors with old-fashioned politeness, and proudly insist this is the greatest town in Virginia.
Name's Smith, Jack Smith. Welcome to Andale, the best little town in Virginia.
They claim to still vote Republican in every election and say they're keeping the American dream alive more than 2 centuries after the bombs fell. But beneath this picture-perfect surface lies something far darker. When the Great War came, 4 families survived by hiding in fallout shelters beneath Andale. When they emerged, their food supplies were gone and starvation set in. To survive, they turned on unwary travelers, justifying cannibalism through a twisted interpretation of Christianity and family values. For 200 years, generations replaced the old through incestuous marriages, since no outsiders were ever brought in. By the 23rd century, everyone in Andale was closely related, and men simply married whoever was available without question. Outsiders soon recognized that something was wrong. Caravaneers, raiders, and travelers stayed away from the place, even if they couldn't quite name why. The evidence is hard to miss once you look closer. Refrigerators in each home hold carefully stored cuts of so-called strange meat pie, with a total of about 80 pieces across town. Andale's families had relied on cannibalism for hundreds of years, preying on unsuspecting travelers who let their guard down because of the residents' friendly manners. Once the lone wanderer discovers the truth, they can either wipe out the settlement or let them continue with their custom to keep enjoying Andale's hospitality and the occasional meat pie. The Museum of Witchcraft. Near Salem in the northeastern Commonwealth is where you'll find this place, a Gothic-style church that looks unsettling from the outside, but what waits inside is far worse, enough to send even hardened gunners running for their lives. Before the war, the building served as a historical attraction, offering exhibits on Salem's past and its infamous witch trials. Now the main door is chained shut from the inside, which forces the only entry point through the cellar. But once you get in there, you immediately find the mutilated body of Private Hart, the first sign of a gunner squad that met a violent end. Deeper inside, the basement reveals the remains of Major Jeffries and 2 more soldiers, all killed by the same unseen threat. As you explore, constant rumbles and camera shakes signal that something powerful is close by. Soon, on the main floor near the northwest bathroom, the body of Sergeant Lee lies next to several cracked deathclaw eggs. Among the broken shells is a single pristine egg that somehow survived intact, and the culprit quickly becomes clear. A leveled deathclaw has made the museum its nest. As you dig deeper into the mystery, you eventually uncover the squad's audio logs, which documented their growing panic.
Everyone inside the museum, now!
They realized they were trapped inside with the creature that was hunting them down.
Major, what found us?
Vault 11. What makes Vault 11 so disturbing isn't monsters or mutations. It's walking through a tomb of bad decisions. Every wall is plastered with campaign posters. I hate Nate. Don't vote Glover. Each one is a desperate plea to avoid being elected overseer because being elected meant execution at the end of your term. And the deeper you go, the worse it gets. Terminals document how quickly neighbors turned on each other. Audio logs capture moments of paranoia and betrayal as political blocs scheme to condemn others instead of themselves. The sacrificial chamber sits at the bottom, a room with a single chair facing a projection screen, designed to comfort victims with lies before robots gunned them down. The real horror waits at the entrance. 4 skeletons slumped near the vault door, a pistol on the floor. These were the survivors who finally refused to kill, only to learn the computer would have freed them if they'd refused from day one. 16 years of unnecessary murder with hundreds dead. The 4 people left couldn't live with this realization and decided to end it all. Only one person was able to walk away, but nobody really knows what happened to them. Sierra Madre. It was meant to be a place where guests could begin again, leaving behind their past lives to survive the nuclear war that Frederick Sinclair believed was inevitable. The resort was meant to be completely self-sufficient, and at its center was a vault where Sinclair planned to survive with Vera Keyes, the woman he loved. But the grand opening never came. Keyes, manipulated by Dean Domino, betrayed Sinclair, and when the bombs fell, the systems in Sierra Madre turned on the very people they were meant to protect. As a result, the resort became frozen in time. The systems never stopped running. Automated holograms still patrol the halls, killing anyone they mistake for intruders. Doors slam shut with no way to open them again, and vending machines hum like the casino is still waiting for its grand opening, even though the guests had been dead for centuries. Walking through it feels less like exploring ruins, and more like intruding on a place that doesn't realize it's already gone. The villa outside is even worse. The streets are filled with the cloud, a red, poisonous mist that never clears. Step into it for too long, and it eats away at your body, while shapes shuffle in the haze. These are the ghost people. Former workers trapped in hazmat suits, now mindless and violent, unable to die in any normal sense. Sinclair died with his dream inside the vault, waiting for Keyes who never came. Her voice survives only as a hologram repeating her last words, "Let go." Far Harbor. This place sits on the shores of Mount Desert Island, a settlement clinging to existence against the radioactive fog that constantly threatens to swallow the town whole. The settlement only survives because Acadia, a colony of escaped synths led by Dima, provided them with fog condensers that keep the deadly mist at bay. In exchange for this life-saving tech, Far Harbor became a lifeline to the outside world for the synths. This arrangement seemed like salvation, until the truth came to light. Desperate to create peace and protect his people, Dima murdered the town's leader and replaced her with a synth duplicate, effectively infiltrating Far Harbor's leadership without anyone knowing. The woman the residents trusted to guide them wasn't even human anymore. But the worst part in all of this is that Dima actually developed a contingency plan that could wipe out everyone in town by shutting down their power source in case his facade collapsed. The Lone Wolf Radio. South of Good Springs sits a rusted trailer that once served as a pirate broadcasting station run by a conspiracy theorist who fought what he believed was the good fight against government evils. The trailer is packed with scattered radio equipment, sensor modules, and heaps of empty whiskey bottles and shot glasses scattered across every surface. Outside, graffiti warns visitors to keep out, while inside, a far more disturbing message is painted on the wall. Everyone is gone. I am all alone. Let it all end. Before the Great War, this lone wolf railed against the government from his makeshift station, broadcasting his theories and warnings to anyone who would listen. However, the devastation of the nuclear holocaust broke him completely, and he abandoned his mission shortly after the bombs fell. Near the bed lies a copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide, which means that a new inhabitant was here at least a few years after Fallout 3's events, giving the book time to circulate from the capital wasteland to the Mojave. The radio equipment is still turned on despite being exposed to the elements for years, and the place hasn't been taken over or stripped for parts. Everything suggests someone was here recently, maybe just weeks or a couple months ago, before they simply walked away and never came back. Pickman Gallery. A row house in Boston's North End sits among buildings that date back to 1630, when the neighborhood first saw settlement. By 2287, one of these old homes became the residence of Pickman, a serial killer who hunts raiders across the Commonwealth. The building gave him access to ancient smuggling tunnels beneath the North End passages that connect to a wider network under Boston. These tunnels became his hunting grounds, allowing him to stalk targets underground and drag raiders back to his place. But if that's not bad enough, the things that he kept in his home were the stuff of nightmares. Inside, 12 paintings hang in the first room, each one created using the victim's blood as paint. Then the corpses were arranged throughout the 3 floors like sculptures. On the top floor, a weapons workbench sits beside his bed, showing that killing had become part of his daily routine. When the player finds Pickman, raiders have tracked him into the tunnels and cornered him. The player can choose to save him or kill him. Many players actually sympathize with Pickman because he only kills raiders. The Glow. It's the crater in the southeastern wasteland that glows at night with radioactive light you can see for miles across the desert. Before the war, this was West Tech Research Facility, where scientists created the forced evolutionary virus in underground labs. But when the bombs fell, multiple warheads hit the place directly and tore open the facility, shattering the FEV tanks on levels 4 and 5. This is why the radiation here is lethal. Standing on the surface of the Glow, you'll immediately notice that the entrance is just a massive hole punched into the earth, and climbing down into it plays this otherworldly droning soundtrack that makes the whole place feel suffocating and alien. On the first level, you find Sergeant Allen's body still in his power armor with a hollow disc that explains what happened to his squad. They made it to the third level before automated turrets cut through their armor and tore them apart. The survivors dragged themselves back up, but one guy wandered off mumbling about hell and took all their anti-radiation meds with him. The rest died slowly from radiation poisoning. At the facility's center, the ZAC supercomputer is still running with most of its sensors destroyed, trying endlessly to complete lab checks it physically can't do anymore. The glow has become the Brotherhood's test for outsiders who want to join, a quest they know will probably kill you. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell.